America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Childers. Present. Lee.
Present.
Morales. Sullivan. Owen. Here. Bessler. Here. McGrath. Here. Thank you, everyone. Being here this evening, after we moved the meeting from last week. We're going to start with 12-7's best. Let's start with Maine East. Mike?
Hi, everybody. I am very pleased to introduce our 207's best from Maine East, Aliana Vilpondo. Hi. Why don't you stand up?
Okay.
Give you a hand. So, Aliana is a student that I've known a little because she's had a couple of projects that she's really taken on over the years. So I would get emails from a student about how do we make this thing happen. First it was battery recovery and recycling, and then it was the robotics club. I'm going to talk about the robotics club in just a moment or two. So as this category, typically you have academic achievement. Aliana has been one of those students again who has taken everything accelerated that you can possibly take, accelerated, and most of the AP classes that we're able to take. She's earned 5s thus far on every AP exam she's had.
Sorry.
And right now she has a GPA of 4.96. So she's certainly among the top students in classes at Maine East. In addition to what she does academically as a scholar in the classroom, she's named a National Merit Commended Scholar. She's a member of the National Honor Society and Maine Historical Society. She's been active in the creation of 2 science-related clubs, the Renewable Energy Club, robotics team. She's been an active member of the math and scholastic bowl teams, also the French Club. She's helped our Demonocracy team crunch data to help more students gain affordable internet access to home. She's a coach tutor and actually does a lot there, very active, serving as a strong role model among student tutors just because of her willingness and ability to assist students from a variety of cultural backgrounds at varying levels of achievement. And during her sophomore and senior years, she's served school by volunteering over 100 hours on our school's Tech Genius program, which is kind of the IT help desk for both faculty and students. Dave Schultz teaches our AP Physics classes, and went on and on and on, saying lots of great things about Aliana in the class. Top-notch analytical thinker, very strong quantitative and mathematical skills. One of only 3 juniors at Maine East who has been okayed to take Physics C as a junior without any prior physics courses, and she, of course, scored a 5 on that AP exam last year. She was the recipient of the American Association of Physics Teachers 2000 Outstanding Physics Student Award last year. Shnez Salomon teaches AP Economics at Aliana last year in class. And again, just went on and on and on again. First, the thing that occurs as a theme is Aliana's pretty quiet. She's very, you see her kind of standing, just very relaxed. And that's exactly what you get when she sits down and we'll talk in my office, you see her someplace, just very, very sort of subdued about what happens. But she said, quiet, studious person who may go unnoticed at first, however, this quickly changes as I got to know her through her work. She's a brilliant mind, processes information with great speed and precision. AP Economics, a lot of times girls won't sign up for it. So we had a large, I think we had 33, 34 kids in that class. Aliana was maybe one of 2 or 3 girls in the class, and once again was sort of ruling the roost there. And again, AP Economics, Macro, Micro has 2 tests. She earned 5s on both of those last year as well. She also, in English, Greg Lumberg's teacher last year, basically Greg just said, yeah, she's a math science student, but she's going to be able to express herself very clearly, easily in English, where she also earned 5 last year. So, I'll tell you about Robotics Club. In this fall of 2013, Aliana thought, this is something that I want to go into. If I'm not mistaken, you want to go into aerospace engineering.
Yes.
But, so okay, so Robotics Club would be kind of cool. So she started to work and she applied for grants independently, working on her own, got over $5,000 in grants to help support a Robotics Club. So fast forward to right after winter break in 2014, and the problem was we didn't have club status because of what we go through as boards. So once we finally got the club approved, it was already past the competitive season. She was undeterred. She went ahead. She drafted the Constitution. She did everything she needed to with Mr. Flegge to get a club formed. They formed the club, found a sponsor, and at the beginning of this current school year, actually had about 20 students show up, which was enough for 2 teams, not just one. They've done very well. They just finished their competitive season about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Just telling me a little bit about the robot that, you know, sort of week to week to week as it develops. They're actually pretty proud of themselves. They got a robot that eventually was able to, I think, deposit like ping pong balls, drop them, take them into a tube, drag the tube around, I mean, various sorts of things. Actually, the robot's going to make an appearance at the assembly at Maine East on Friday to deliver the microphone to the MC. So, pretty cool stuff. I'm going to sum it up here. One of our Schuler, she's also a Schuler Scholar, she's in Gifted Lyceum. Schuler Program Counselor Cynthia Fuerte summed this up in a letter that she wrote for Aliana. Said, brilliant, upbeat, quirky, and a young woman who marches to the beat of her own drum. Aliana is definitely one of a kind. Classroom Aliana is unaware of the strength of her intellectual gifts. To say that she is intelligent is an understatement. Aliana is an anomaly because she's a student who instinctively and without agenda studies and learns for the sheer love of knowledge. She's a sponge with natural gifts for almost everything. Aliana goes about her academic day simply to engage in learning as much as possible. The fact that it comes easily to her is not something that is lost on her. She still spends the same amount of time studying and preparing as her classmates. I have no doubt that she's going to do some pretty amazing stuff, and definitely she is one of those people who makes Maine East a better place just by the example she sets for others. So I'm very proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What are your plans? Well, who's here first with you?
My parents, my mom and dad. I'm so happy they managed to make it here.
Absolutely.
Awful weather.
And what are your plans next year?
Well, I'm either going to MIT or Caltech because I'm not accepted to both of them. And I'm also waiting on decisions from other schools like Princeton, Cornell, Northwestern, Johns Hopkins, and Carnegie Mellon. So.
Wow.
Wow. Stop at MIT.
Come on up, we have a few things for you.
Okay, thank you.
Somewhere. Very impressive. Very impressive. Thank you very much. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Ariana, just remember our school district after you graduate. All right?
Yes.
West, Audrey, please.
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Lena Carew. Please stand, Lena. I'm going to start with a quote that Mr. McClure wrote for Lena in a letter recommendation. He can't be here tonight. His mom is really sick, and he sends his best to you. But he says in his letter recommendation, Lena was almost daily the most intense scholar. Lena enjoys the critical thinking that is an integral part of the social sciences. She loves the give and take of discussion and Socratic seminars and is that daring student willing to offer up the first insights and many times the most salient evidence, commentary, and counter-arguments. No one outworks Lena, ever. And that was the theme, nobody outworks Lena ever. It came up over and over and over again, and I know firsthand because Lena's been a member of the principal's leadership team since the end of her freshman year. As a freshman, she was nominated by more teachers than any other student to be a part of the principal's leadership team starting in her sophomore year, and she has done a phenomenal job. 2 years ago, we read the book Strengths Finder, and Lena's top 2 strengths, we get the 5 strengths, but the top 2 of Lena's are input and learner, which is absolutely fascinating because when you see Lena in any situation, she's phenomenal at not only giving input, but in seeking input from others, and she's a pro at it. One of the things we started this year was the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens on our leadership team, And we decided that the officers, Lena is the vice president, decided that the officers would teach these lessons. And Lena went first, and she set the tone. All I had to do was say, go ahead. She sent me a Google Doc with her lesson, just like a teacher would. And she said, this is what I want to do, and I just stepped back, and it ran beautifully. And I didn't have to say a word the entire class period in there, and it's not even class. It's with other leaders within the building. It's just phenomenal. So kids follow her. Kids follow her lead very well, and the way she seeks that input is just absolutely fascinating. She's very humble. She doesn't judge. She seeks. She likes to get people to brainstorm, and she is always very, very encouraging. So to see her do that in a classroom, in a meeting, in the hallways, it's just absolutely phenomenal. And her second strength is that of a learner. So she seeks, when she's seeking that input, she's seeking to gain something for herself as well. So when Mr. McClure comments that nobody works harder, Lena is constantly thinking. If you see her walk down the hallway, she is intense, and she barely sees you to say hello, but then she'll always eke out that smile and keep you going. So just an incredible student. In as many AP and accelerated classes as you can imagine, with a 4.6 GPA way at the top of her class. And then crazy involved. You would think with that kind of schedule and that intensity, that's all that she would do, but if you look at that list that I included in the letter, Voice for the Nameless, coach, tutor, news editor of the Westerner, member of the principal's leadership team, volunteer service outside of the building, just won the Daily Herald Leadership Team Award. She was on the front page of the Daily Herald, just won the Comcast Leaders and Achievers Award and a scholarship for that. So her senior year has really accumulated into this big bang of accomplishments because she's absolutely phenomenal. She's one of those students that you want setting the tone in your building. And she has had such an amazing impact on Maine West that she'll be really hard to replace. One of my favorite kids of all time, Lena. You are awesome. So let me say one more time, no one outworks Lena, ever. So this is Lena. Okay, who's with you, Lena?
My mom, my little sister, and my best friend, Bree.
And what are your plans?
I'm not sure yet. I'm awaiting decisions from 12 schools right now. I should receive the first decision March 1st.
Okay.
So,
And do you know what you want to do and be when you grow up?
yes, I want to pursue neuroscience. I want to do stem cell therapy research when I go to college, and eventually go into medicine.
Very cool. Awesome. Congrats on behalf of all of Maine West too.
Couple of these. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you.
Congratulations to both of you. If you'd like to step out in the hall since you're there right now, and your principals, would like to take some pictures. It's also your opportunity to leave the meeting if you're not interested in staying for all the
I want to say one thing though before you guys leave. I was going to announce this, but she'll be out of the door and won't hear me announce it. But Dr. Haugen has been nominated for the Golden Apple Leadership Award this year. I think it's the second year. Second year that they've had this. So I just got a letter the other day, and she's been nominated for Golden Apple. So we'll see how that works out. But best of luck and congratulations.
Step out in the hall for your pictures. Appreciate it. Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. Are there any comment cards back there? Thank you.
Congratulations. Really, the presence of greatness right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Updates from the superintendent.
Couple of things, big things, not small things tonight, big things. Our Maine South Hawkettes, second in the nation, big thing. And I believe Member Bessler was there to witness the momentous occasion in Orlando.
Is your daughter? Yes, and they were very close to first, and they were devastated not to get first, but they have to understand that second's pretty darn good.
And then I think the Constitution team at South again won the state championship for, I don't know how many, 20-something in a row. It's a lot, so congratulations. I wanted to catch Audrey before she walked out, because that was my other thing, so I wanted to have her student and have her here before I said that, so that's all from the superintendent.
Nothing about jazz on
Jazz hands.
Saturday. Jazz, the
And the four
Yeah.
full
Oh.
scholarships for Maine West
The
football
jazz
players?
ensemble was
Jazz Ensemble was on CBS, I think I sent you the link around. and
Yeah,
going to Carnegie.
Going to Carnegie.
That's cool.
Yes, yes. Lot
Oh,
of
that
good
was,
stuff.
yeah, we discussed that.
I s- And I sent you a link.
Right, but we did, at 2 meetings ago, that's been a plan.
Yes, yes.
They were on the news.
Yeah, they were on CBS Morning,
They're gonna be on the news.
or CBS.
And I think member Morales has a son in, was in the shot, actually, yes.
Oh,
Very good. I think he was up on the top row.
In the top,
Yeah.
right hand,
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, very nice. Okay,
is that okay?
that's it.
Thank you. Any updates from board members? And do we have, what is the,
Just education part.
Jim wants to say something.
Jen? Sorry.
Just want to share, first of all, Happy Lunar New Year for everyone in 2015. In Asian Lunar Year, this is a year 4348, 4,348 years. It's called the Asian Lunar Year. So it's February 19th this year. So please enjoy it and everything. Just want to quickly share this opportunity to share more of our schools working really hard on character development. I just want to emphasize a little bit, because starting off this year, of course, there are so many sad news that we've been really hearing. And it could be related or not, but the most recent one in January this year when we start, the young, very intellectual, the Ivy League, Princeton graduate, 30 years old, rich family named Thomas Gilbert Jr., who killed his father. And the reason was that it wasn't January 4, it was in the news. One of the reasons was that because the father cut out his allowance. And then another reason was we found out that because the father cut out the rent that he had to pay, they reduced the father reduced the rent, so he kind of got upset, and then that sad situation incident happened. But he's again Ivy League, Princeton graduated, who done that? And of course, our society, we can talk about this kind of situation, incidents are more of emotional, kind of like concern, conflicts, and so on. But at the same time, I want to kind of, we don't really have that answer or solution to such. But at the same time, I know our school is really devoted and working so hard about character development. But I could personally say that this might be lead to such in this. So of course, the first the most responsible for our children, our own children's behaviors and character development is, of course, the parents. It is our utmost responsibility to teach the proper character developments and so on. But sometimes, as a parents or dual working parents, we cannot always devote our time to, and then many of times we depend on schools too. But we cannot always depend on school. That's not really part of the responsibility. But we, as a Maine Township, we hope to, if the opportunity comes, we want to again emphasize the character development ongoingly. And of course, I mentioned numerous times, and I know I'm pretty confident our school district are pretty good with working with character development issues and so on. And we, at the same time, the university, the acceptance of the students who's going to graduate the high schools and getting a job and so on. Now I find out that many corporations and schools are looking for more of the right characters. Nowadays, if you are getting a high grades, grades, and maybe active in many extracurricular curriculums and so on, but I heard in university now we are looking for more proper volunteerism, a lot of good activities, and if the person is properly the character developed or not too. And that's what they now the recruiters. I see that now they are not just going to recruit the students who's graduating high school with just high scores and grades. Not just looking at the spec itself, they no longer doing that. Spec is important, but along with that, now more of the characteristics more critically important. So just want to share this, and I want to just continuously that our district could get involved and working with the parents and somehow providing a strategic academic opportunities to develop this proper positive character develops as much as we can, and eventually it will pay off when they grow up, being a proper person, humane in our society as a good person. And we are going to see less of this kind of a sad incidents. So just want to kind of share that, and just want to share the schools that just continue working hard about developing the proper characteristics.
And if I could, I would address, and we talked a little bit, but we do have pretty developed character development programs in each of the buildings, always can get better. We couple that though with a lot of social emotional screening, where we survey students from time to time. We have a very articulated mental health approach, a systems approach, much more than we're required to do, where we really try to find students in need who are having these emotional issues and match them with a counselor, a psychologist, social worker, so that we can be proactive and go beyond even trying to do character development. And we've had some really great things. I think South probably this year took a page out of another building or two's work and just had a week or so where it was nothing but positive reinforcement from the students. And so I think I share what you're saying, and I can tell you that the three principals take it very seriously, and it's added to the list of the many, many things that we work hard at beyond just teaching. But I agree with you. I think it is something that is important, and we do try to put a lot of emphasis on it.
Thank you.
And I know our feeder, what do we call them, feeder Sunder Elementary Schools, partner schools, District 64, I'm on that strategic planning committee. And we talked for 4 hours on Saturday, and we talked a lot about their studies from Singapore and Finland. And really that's like the fourth component, really looking at the whole child and developing a sense of civic responsibility and a whole commitment beyond just the STEM, looking at STEAM, and then also where you add the arts, and then you add that component of character where they're giving back to their society and not just focusing on themselves. I thought it was there's a huge focus on that.
And 64
A positive
yeah.
forward, yeah.
Yeah, 64's done a lot of work, whole child
very
work
interesting, yeah.
for many, many years. Good.
Any other, thank you, Jen. Are there any other board activity update?
Well, it was wonderful. We talked about the whole idea of scheduling, the pros and cons of what a change would be. Mike Taylor came with 5 members from the MTA, and they prepared a book that was available for everyone. We had good discussion with everyone here, and just exploring it. And then at the end, Barbara gave an explanation of how this even came about. She gave us real strong background, so there was a real good logic to where we're going with this, and I found it quite interesting and valuable. And then Kate gave a report on exploring textbook sales and online, and the more research he did, he said we're not ready. 3 years ago we weren't ready, and we're not ready yet to where it makes sense for the families in the district.
Okay. Thank you. The meetings, next up is the monthly finance report. Mary?
In your board packet is the financial report for December. December marks the midway point through the year. Revenues are slightly down when you compare them to the last 2 years. The state's about $1.3 million behind. We would anticipate that catch up in the spring quarter, so that will end the year within budget, but with the state, you never know. Expenditures are on track. Also in the board packet is the annual TIF update. Each of the 3 municipalities that has TIF coverage, Rosemont and Des Plaines, have an annual joint review board. Rosemont is on a calendar year, the other 2 are on an April 30th year end. So Rosemont's information is a year behind. They'll have a joint review board meeting in the next couple months. It just updates the current EAVs. There's not a lot of activity going on in any of our TIFs, so you won't see a lot of really robust activity in the updates. Des Plaines did do the split of TIF 6 into TIF 6 and 7, but they haven't completed a full year under TIF 7, so there's no report from the joint review board for that. I will entertain any questions anybody has on either the TIF update or the December financials.
Any questions?
I don't have any on these 2 here, but with the change in administration in Springfield, is there anything that we should be aware of or that you see coming out differently? Not to get political.
Well, there is talk of yet another round of school finance reform. I think school finance reform for us means money taken away from us. I mean, it's just, when they talk about funding those school districts that that are spending less than the state average, the only way the state's gonna get that money is to take away from those spending more, which is us. So while there is no formal proposal that I'm aware of on school funding, there's another introduction from the same gentleman that did, I believe, Senate Bill 16. Yeah. And one of the weaknesses they said with it is there's no financial, they put no numbers to school districts to tell you what the impact would be. We just know it'll be less. When they did the estimates on Senate Bill 16, it was $4 million less a year for us. So yes, we should be aware of that, but unfortunately we have no specifics to report on that.
The IASA, which is the Superintendent Association, the ISB, which is the school business, and then the School Board Association, have a document called Vision 2020. I'll send it out to board members this week. It has a conceptual proposal that's getting some traction. It has some things like regional cost factors. So for example, there is a difference in cost of doing business in northern Cook County versus Peoria, Illinois, or anywhere else. It's based on some research out of National Lewis, so I'll send you some of that out. It's important to maybe have an understanding of that. Only it is still conceptual, but I think there's a lot to be determined yet on that question.
Isn't it tax financing increment is like 23 years, like a set period? So I don't know how many years it has been now, but do we still continuously guarantee to receive pretty much set amount?
So what happens with tax increment financing is the first year of it is called the base year, and we continue to receive taxes based on the base year, and any of the increment above that base EAV, the municipalities get those tax revenues for the TIFs. And you can see each of the TIFs, I put what their base year is and when the TIF expires. They are 23 years. They can seek statutory approval to get an extension of an additional 12 years, making it a total of 35. Currently, there are no extensions being requested. Park Ridge has hinted that they may come and request an extension on the Uptown TIF, but they have not formalized that.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Mary. No instructional services tonight? No. Okay. Next item is monthly update on FOIA.
One this month and it's processed.
Okay, can I have a motion on item 7, the consent agenda, please? Second. All right.
I thought I heard Carl first. I thought I heard Carl first.
Oh, yeah. She's just louder. Are there any questions or comments on items on the consent agenda before we vote? Okay, hearing none, Judy, can you call the roll, please?
Childers. Aye. Morales. Owen. Aye. Besley. Aye. Lee.
Aye.
McGrath.
Aye. May I have a motion on item 8, the approval of bids and awarding of contracts? Second? Thank you. Barry, can you tell us a little bit about these, wait, I'm sorry, Hank, can you tell us a little bit about these?
These all kind of work in coordination with one another. They all work to provide us more secure and reliable and robust internet network access. And they all fall within the current anticipated budget. Some of this is because of falling prices of internet. Some is also because they rewrote rules for federal E-rate reimbursement. So we're recapturing funds through a variety of ways and then reapplying them back in and reinvesting right into the network infrastructure. So if there's any that interest you more than that, I'm happy to go into them, but overall together it's really about more bandwidth and safer bandwidth for all of us.
If I could comment, and I think there was some discussion that reached the board level last year where we were frequently under these DDoS attacks. And I can say that, we took some significant steps last year, but under Hank's leadership, we really got those caught for the most part and mitigated, where we were getting the network shut down some days half the day, or half the day or an entire day. So it's really improved.
The two pieces that really play into that is the DDoS mitigation, which we pay $36,000 a year for, is now covered partially by E-rate. So we'll get half of that money back. What we want to do is reinvest some of that money and the money we're having from phone savings, because we switched providers last year, into the one you see there is Windstream. So instead of relying on one internet provider, we'll actually have two that we'll just dynamically switch back and forth, like within milliseconds. If one goes down, all traffic will switch over to the other one. So the experts say that unless a natural disaster occurs and both go down, we could expect no more than 34 seconds of downtime a year. Now, I'm not betting my job on that. But that's what they tell us. So this is good stuff for the district, and it all fits within the budget. We get a lot more internet, like I think in the memo, it's 250 megabits per second per building, goes up to 1,000 per building. I mean, this gives us like bank quality internet, the combination of these things together.
Is it all our school districts are like all Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Yeah, and part of this plan is making that more robust, especially at East and West.
And just quickly, all this contract for 2015, 16, all these projects, always concerns is finance, the funding. Are we expected plan on this, save the money to?
Yes, this all fits either in existing or anticipated budgets that Mary and I have put in place and anticipate over the years. So they all fit within. We don't need any additional funds to make this happen.
And we're not really having much of surprising emergency expenses.
We try to make sure that those don't happen. We don't guarantee them, but we work really hard to make sure we don't get surprised.
So far we didn't have it, right? We did not have it.
Not for the last couple of years. We've done pretty good.
Part of the reason the contracts are brought now instead of next year is there's a window that you have to file your E-rate contracts with to get the funding, and that window is now. So we can't wait to approve the contracts because then we would lose our E-rate funding.
Oh, how is the Maine West with our project should be starting very soon? Is it not? Like
Bids are on the street, so we have a pre-bid meeting scheduled for next week. Bid opening on, I believe, the 23rd or 24th, and discussion at finance on the 26th. So
so
keep your fingers crossed, yeah.
And quick question, when you say a lot more internet, if I'm a student, a lot more internet means much quicker response on my laptop?
It sure does,
Okay.
yeah.
Less chance of dropping, those kind of things.
Yeah.
You know, so many of the students in classes are now dependent on
Yeah.
having that internet access, that we have to make sure that that is available. Like the idea of having the two providers of 34 seconds of downtime a year.
The champ put his job on.
Yeah.
I heard that too, Pablo. Good ear, good catch.
I think this is good for students and good for our continued, you know, the continued use of technology and the growth of technology in the buildings. Are there any other questions about the contracts on the, okay, hearing none, Judy, would you call the roll, please?
Owen. Aye. Morales.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Bessler. McGrath.
Aye. Next up is calendar items. We are closed next week, Monday, for President's Day.
If we don't have a snow.
We don't have, unless you, well, we have another, we have a snow day this week, we are open next Monday.
I'm half teasing.
Are we moving back on those two?
No, we're good so
We're
far.
not
We
good so far.
got one more to go.
We have several meetings,
Okay.
we have several meetings, actually, it looks like a lot. Policy, building and grounds, and finance all have meetings scheduled. Anybody else need to schedule a meeting at this time?
We're okay.
Okay. And the next board meeting is March 2nd. Anything else we need to get on the calendar? All right. Next is communications. Dave, I'm going to assume there's no cards back there, but.
There are
I don't see.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to go into closed session for purposes of review of closed session minutes, probable, imminent, or pending litigation, and collective negotiation?
I so move.
All right, second. Carl? Take the roll, Jenny.
Lee.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Bessler. McGrath.
Aye. Thank you very much. We're in